Hello and a very warm welcome to Game On. I'm Meha Bharadwaj-Alter and today is a power-packed show for all of you. Let's start with the exciting red ball series that we've all been waiting for. Team India resumes Test cricket at home for the first time in nearly 10 months in a much-anticipated 5-match series with England starting on Thursday in Hyderabad. This is India's first home series of the current World Test Championship cycle, which sees Rohit Sharma's second-ranked team host third-placed England, who last toured the country in early 2021 when Joe Root's side was beaten 3-1 despite winning the first test in Chennai. Since that defeat, which is just Team India's second at home since 2017, the nature of pitches has been up for scrutiny on a regular basis because of the frequency with which the BCCI has rolled out spin-friendly tracks, some of which have aided the home team's terrific spin attack from the first morning of a test match. And with added incentive since the start of the World Test Championship cycle 4 years ago, which puts an emphasis on accumulating points, the Indian team has become more reliant on such pitches, even though they come with a very visible risk, such as witnessed during last year's Border-Gavaskar Trophy, where India lost the third match inside 3 days on a vicious turner in Indore. Even when Rohit's team won the first 2 test matches against Australia, there was enough evidence that India's batters were also struggling on these very difficult pitches and against unknown spinners, which brings us to this England series, pitting India against the concept known as Bazball, which has changed England's approach under the captaincy of Ben Stokes and head coach Brendan McCullum. How will Bazball, which has worked in England and Pakistan, fare if these 5 test matches are played on turning tracks? And will England, as Australia did with Todd Murphy and Matthew Kuhnemann last year, catch India off guard with their unknown spinners? The only spinners India have faced in Test cricket are the left-armer Jack Leach, who took 18 wickets in 4 Test matches here in 2021, and the former skipper Joe Root, who during that series stunned India with a 5-wicket haul on a raging turner. But in Rehan Ahmed, Tom Hartley and Shoaib Bashir, England carry with them 3 spinners about whom India know nothing. Will this be a major turning point, pun intended, in the series, or will India's batters rise to the challenge of the unknown? While there might be conjecture about batting and the pitches, there is, however, no question over the impact that the colossal spin bowling pair of Ravichandran Ashwin and Ravindra Jadeja, who together have taken a mind-boggling 438 wickets in 40 home test matches. Truly, how England play Ashwin and Jadeja with Akshar Patel as the third spinner in the 11 is where the series will be decided. Take a look at the Indian squad for the first 2 test matches. Virat Kohli, of course, has withdrawn from the first 2 test matches due to personal reasons, but there is also clarity now on KL Rahul not keeping wickets. Let's first talk about Virat Kohli and what happens now in Virat Kohli's absence. India were dealt a big blow 3 days before the first test in Hyderabad when the BCCI revealed that former skipper Virat Kohli had made himself unavailable for the first 2 matches due to personal reasons. Now, this means that India will be without their most experienced player of the squad and the most successful batter against England. Even though Kohli, like most of his batting teammates, has struggled at home during the past 2 WTC cycle, with the hosts preferring to play on spinning tracks, the fact is that the 35-year-old is a towering figure in the team. Who replaces him in the squad? That remains to be seen, since the BCCI has not yet announced a replacement for Kohli. But the leading candidates appear to be Rajat Patidar, who is in good form and who just scored 151 for India A versus England Lions. Ranji Trophy run machine Sarfaraz Khan, whose recent scores of India A include 350s. And then there is the Test veteran Cheteshwar Pujara. So there you go, Sarfaraz Khan, he could be the other choice for that replacement, 350s for India A. Then there is the veteran Cheteshwar Pujara, who not long ago scored a double century for Saurashtra while getting to 20,000 runs in first-class cricket. Which of these options the BCCI selectors turn to remains to be seen, but of more importance is the name that gets into the 11 in Kohli's absence. So who comes in Kohli's absence? Given how KL Rahul batted in South Africa, he looks set to slot back for his first home test since he was dropped after he fared miserably in the 2 matches during the BGT last year. And with Shubman Gill enjoying good faith in the team despite his batting average on a downward spiral, the man who might benefit from Kohli's absence is Shreyas Iyer. Though let me tell you, in the nets today in Hyderabad, he did get hit during that training session on his right forearm and he went away for a while. But the good news is that he came back and he resumed his training, which clearly means that he wasn't hit very badly and that, it wasn't a cause of worry. But despite being arguably the best player of spin bowling in the test squad, Iyer's short ball problems might not have guaranteed him a spot in the 11 had Kohli been around, because of these sharp turning surfaces with Ashwin, Jadeja, Akshar set to bowl a lot of overs. You need a skilled wicketkeeper, and Rahul Dravid has already said that they will go for someone between Dhruv Jurel and KS Bharat. So now it becomes imperative that you get a good batter, since one batter might have to sit out. It's a tough call, whoever it'll be, but with Kohli not around, India looks set to play all three, Gill, Rahul, Iyer, with a designated wicketkeeper at number 6. Now, talking about the wicketkeepers. In regards to the vital wicketkeeper slot for this series against England, the current squad for the first 2 test matches, we just showed you the current squad, includes KS Bharat, 3 of them KS Bharat, who played 5 test matches so far, KL Rahul, who kept wickets for the first time in the recent South Africa series, and the uncapped Dhruv Jurel from Uttar Pradesh. Now, Rahul Dravid, India's coach, today in the press conference, he has confirmed that KL Rahul will not assume wicket-keeping duties in the upcoming 5-match test series against England in Hyderabad. He said that there will be a toss-up between KS Bharat and Dhruv Jurel. He said, and I quote, "As you can see, Rahul will not be playing as a wicketkeeper in this series, and we're clear about that. In the selection itself, we picked up 2 other wicketkeepers. Obviously, Rahul did a fantastic job for us in South Africa and recently also played a big part in helping us draw the series. But considering the 5 test matches and playing in these conditions, the selection will be between the 2 other keepers that we have." So let's take a look at the 2 other keepers. Bharat is by far the most skilled glovesman, even if you compare him to KL Rahul, right? His batting in first 4 test matches to date, that's a problem, including 4 in a row at home against Australia. That leaves plenty of room for improvement, and which is why he did not get a game in South Africa. Where Bharat loses out to KL Rahul is because of his batting. He makes up for behind the stumps, as he is the designated wicketkeeper with plenty of experience. And in India, on pitches where the ball turns, and the wicketkeeper has to spend most of his day collecting the ball from 3 spin bowlers, the onus will be on the Indian team management to pick the most proficient option, and that, on pure skill, is Bharat. And if not Bharat, who averages 18.42 in tests as a batter, will the management actually consider uncapped Dhruv Jurel? The youngster is just 15 first-class matches old and made heads turn during the 2023 IPL for Rajasthan Royals to leapfrog his UP teammate Upendra Yadav and has been a part of past India A squads as the designated wicketkeeper. A big risk to try out Jurel at the test level despite the potential, which leaves Team India looking likely to resort to Bharat for the start of this series. Okay, now moving on from the wicketkeeper to India's pace attack. The most experienced member of the Indian pace attack, Jasprit Bumrah, he believes Test cricket is king and that he doesn't relate to the term baseball. The series against England will be his second full series at home, and he's looking forward to playing Test cricket. But this is what he has to say about baseball. He said, and I quote, "I don't really relate to the term baseball, but they are playing successful cricket." There you go. And the aggressive route of taking the opposition on, showing the world that there is another way to play Test cricket. As a bowler, what I think is that it keeps me in play. And if they are going for it, playing so fast, They won't tire me out. I could get heaps of wickets. I always think about how I can use things to my advantage. Kudos to them, but as a bowler, you are in the game. Bumrah also talked about Test cricket. And this is what he said about Test cricket. He said, I'm of that generation where Test cricket is king. I will always judge myself on it. He said, yes, I started with IPL, but I learned to bowl through first-class cricket. That's where I developed my skill, the art of taking wickets. In Test cricket, you have to get the batsman out, and that challenges you as a bowler. He also added to that, he says T20s, ODIs, some days you might send down 5 slower balls and get 5 guys out, when in a Test match, they wouldn't have taken 1. There is no luck in Test cricket, is what he says. The better team wins. You cannot take 20 wickets through luck. I was never happy with just white ball cricket, and Test cricket is still the utmost format for me. This is him talking to The Guardian. Okay, a day after playing his Ranji Trophy match for Uttar Pradesh, Southpaw Rinku Singh has been added to India A squad, which will play their second 4-day match against England Lions starting from Wednesday. Rinku was recently with the India Test squad in South Africa as a reserve player. He's played 43 first-class matches so far, scoring 99 runs at an average of 58.47. And he was earlier included in the India A squad in South Africa as well. He stepped out in the field as a substitute in the Indian dugout during the first test in Centurion as well. Now, there is a theory doing the rounds that with Virat Kohli pulling out of the first 2 games, citing personal reasons, and the selectors looking for a replacement in the middle order, Rinku, who's got a good first-class average, as you've just seen, might just be that surprising inclusion. But as of now, the Indian selectors, they've not named a replacement for Virat Kohli. Okay, now, Indian batting legend Sachin Tendulkar delighted thousands of excited fans with a nostalgic performance during a T20 exhibition match titled One World versus One Family. Sachin Tendulkar led the One World team, and he rolled back the years as he scored a brisk 27 of just 16 balls, showcasing his timeless batting prowess. The crowd was waiting in anticipation as Sachin faced off against his old adversary, the former Sri Lankan spin wizard Muthaiya Muralitharan. However, that anticipation turned to be a bit of a disappointment when Muralitharan, he bowled him, dismissed him in the very first ball that he delivered. Dismissal came as Sachin Tendulkar attempted an aggressive shot of Muralitharan, but he failed to clear Mohammad Kaif at long on, who secured the catch. Despite the brief innings, Tendulkar's performance was a reminder of his exceptional talent and the joy that he has brought to cricket fans around the world throughout his illustrious career. The match itself was a celebration of cricketing greats, with notable players like Yuvraj Singh, Irfan Pathan, Chamin Nawaz also taking part.
Test match. Well bowled.
Mark P. Singh, and that's over the top. Will that carry down to the boundary, over the bowler's head, down to the... Oh, that's played beautifully. Square of the wicket on the offside.
I can vouch for that because I did try after I retired. That's well played. The outfield is pretty quick here. Yes, there was a lot of cricketers from Afghanistan, Zimbabwe. Short delivery.
A bright future for all the kids. Putting it over. Oh, very close.
Hello, wickets. Okay, spoke too soon.
Yusuf has other plans, doesn't he, Akash?
Oh, vintage Yuvraj. Down the ground, and 6 it is.
Just winning or losing. And that's in the air. And
Had it 10 years ago, still has it. We've spoken about the uneven bounce once in a while. This was one of those occasions.
Thank you so much for speaking with us, sir.
Back to you guys in the commentary box. Got some exciting action in the final over unfolding right now.
Has he got the distance over there? That's the reason why he took strike. Hard and high over the bowler's head. Gets the distance for another mighty 6. That's a full toss. That's in the air. The wicketkeeper is getting under it, and he takes. Oh, that's the first scoring stroke, a big stroke. Oh, this time he's found the spot between mid-wicket and along on down to the boundary for 4 more. And first ball for fresh over, and they found the gap between point and cover down to the backward point boundary for 4. That's in the air, and that's taken. That's taken. Has to take the long walk back to the pavilion.
It turned the bat a little too soon. Got the leading edge. Home delivery for Yusuf Pathan.
And there's expectancy. Down the wicket he comes and rolls his head at the very last moment. Delectable flick.
Was to Sachin.
This time he gets it through between cover and point. Does it have legs to carry down to the boundary? Yes, it does. Oh, that's gone over the top. He's found the distance, has he? It'll go a few drops. It goes after it, and this time goes over the boundary at long on for a 6. The man with 800 wickets. As Tendulkar comes down the wicket, hoisted hard and high. There's a man getting under it. Does he take it? Yes, he does. Batter through the air, thick outside edge. This time will carry down to the boundary as fine as you can. This time Malvido Peterson takes the aerial route, 1 bounce down to the square leg.
12 runs off his 4 overs and got a wicket. Oh, what a hit. What a hit. I'm not talking about the fitness now. That's a great shot.
Montague comes down, gets a distance again. Will he be taken? He'll be taken. Taken by Mohammad Kaif.
Into bat. Another wicket. They never go. Using his feet. Over the brother's head for a 6. And that's victory for one world.
With that, we're going to slip into a short break. When we come back, lots more stories from the world of sports here.
हमारी नारी शक्ति को सशक्त करने से ही देश सशक्त होने वाला है।
हर महीने महिलाओं को 1500 रुपए प्रति माह दिलवाया जाएगा।
What Nitish Kumar did to provide cycle to girls, so they could safely, quickly move out of the house, go to school, and quickly come back. Tring, 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 tring.
माँ अन्नपूर्णा तू ही, माँ अन्नपूर्णा है तू ही वीणा वादनी, हे शक्ति स्वरूपा जगदम्बा, हे नारी तू नारायणी।
News is now content. Just stream it. Download the world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
Welcome back now. In another disgraceful incident for racism in Serie A, AC Milan goalkeeper Mike Maignan walked off the field after being subjected to racist abuse by Udinese fans during a top-tier Italian league game on Saturday, prompting the match to be suspended briefly during the first half. The incident took place shortly after Milan midfielder Ruben Loftus-Cheek had given the visitors the lead with a low first-time shot inside the box. Maignan, he alerted the referee before leaving the pitch after the first half mark, followed by his teammates. The Serie A match was restarted after about 10 minutes. On Sunday, though, he delivered a strongly worded response. He said, and I quote on Twitter, he said, "It's not the player who was attacked, it's the man, it's the father. It's not the first time it's happened to me, and I'm not the first person it's happened to." We've had statements, publicity campaigns, protocols, and nothing has changed. Today, It's a whole system that must take responsibility. Meanwhile, Udinese has identified a fan who racially abused Mike Maignan and banned him for life, as it vowed to do the same for the other evil people amid calls for tougher sanctions from authorities following another weekend where Italian soccer games were overshadowed by fan misbehavior. FIFA President Gianni Infantino called the latest incident totally abhorrent and completely unacceptable and said world soccer's governing body could initiate tougher punishments. But will that be enough? Let's listen to the head of an anti-racism advocacy group for football called Fair Network. Piera Power is the gentleman. He is talking about ways to bring about a systemic change in the sport.
Racism is a characteristic of Italian football, and I think everybody, the media there, the players expect it, and the governing bodies, the government, don't really do enough to undermine the sort of systemic nature of it. In Italian football, they have a focus on individuals, on prosecuting individuals, but clearly that's not working. And already this season, we have seen 36 incidents involving Italian clubs. And don't forget, we are only halfway through the season so far. So that's a huge number of incidents involving Italian clubs from the top all the way down to the bottom, all sorts of incidents involving all sorts of players. As I say, this is systemic, and the Italian authorities just simply not doing what they need to be doing. It needs to be done with intentionality. It needs to be done with a plan. It needs to be done with the idea that this is a problem that pervades Italian football, and the action to address those problems will be systemic, go deep, and have longer term impact. What we see from the Italian authorities are actions that are piecemeal, that don't even scratch the surface of what's needed to be done. And therefore, most fans will see what's happened here, express their outrage, but then they'll see the same thing next week, the next month, the next year. So there just is not the consistency of action. Whether you impose fines, whether you deduct points, whether you kick a team out of the league, it doesn't really matter if you don't do it consistently and with a plan, with intentionality. Now, don't forget, we also in Italy have a backdrop of a far-right government for whom these sort of issues are not a priority, who are themselves involved in dog whistling and signaling on issues of immigration. So sometimes you can understand how fans are confused. They're being told by football players not to racially abuse them, and then they're being told by the government that immigration is bad and immigrants are being demonized every week. So there is a connection there. But in the end, it's those leaders of football in a country that can create the change, put in place the measures that will have the impact on those fans, and over a period of time begin to address the issues.
Okay, it's time for us to wrap this show up, but get ready for some beautiful visuals. A small hamlet, Nazaré, in Portugal. It boasts of the biggest rideable waves in the world. On Monday, Nazaré played host to the big wave surfing competition amidst a time where extreme weather is wreaking havoc in Europe. We leave you with these visuals. Goodbye.
Nazaré is a small fishing hamlet on the Portuguese shores, but it holds a vital position on the world surfing map. Also known as the Ocean's Everest, Nazaré is characterized with heavier, powerful, hard to predict, and at times menacing waves. Among the most popular big wave surfing destinations, Nazaré was first put on map for the sport in 2011 for then a record wave which surfed up to 78 feet, nearly 24 meters, or as high as an 8-story building. Praia do Norte, or the North Beach in Nazaré, is home to the biggest surfable waves. The Nazaré Canyon makes the waves go so big and high, making the town a favored destination for big wave surfing. The undersea canyon has a maximum depth of 5 kilometers and it stretches up to 230 kilometers. The period between November and February gets the best surfable waves. Professional big wave surfers took on Nazare's huge waves on Monday in the Chodor Nazare Big Wave Challenge. Riders were summoned to Portugal over the last weekend after the surfing tournament got the green light to run. On Monday, surfing fans sat on the cliffs cheering on as surfers rode the big waves. The surfers took on giant waves in extreme weather conditions which hit Europe, resulting in cancellation of a number of flights and cancellation of trains. After waiting for almost 2 months for a big swell in what has been quite a season in Nazare, the competition started with 20-foot waves on Monday morning and wrapped up with a 35-foot plus walls late in the afternoon, but never reached the potential 50-foot swell that had been forecast. On Monday, it was not the biggest Nazare can deliver, but the competitors endured extreme conditions to bring joy to the thousands of fans who had turned up for the event.
How do you fulfill that promise? Because ultimately expectations have to be met. If you look at the political landscape, is it really changing for women? And what is the inability of the forces that dead bodies surface but not the living people?